Dear students, let's see the discussions on multitasking. This is in continuation to the previous video series on types of operating systems. The multitasking operating systems, as the name indicates, that the CPU can able to carry out a multiple task. Now, what does mean by multiple task? Say, for example, we are having a CPU, and this particular CPU has the operating systems, and this CPU is placed over here, and operating system is having a interface with the CPU, and the simultaneously operating systems has different input task which is being shown in terms of a block. That let us take that here antivirus is running. You are running a, let us take that my PowerPoint PPT. Here you are using a paintbrush. Here you are using a web browsers. So every activities, whatever you have given, the CPU is processing. Now, in the case of a multitasking operating systems, here you can try to see that it is based on the every activities whichever is carried out one after another. The entire activity will be carried out by the CPU, and that is with that particular task of switching over, it will not be visible by our naked eye. So that's why this particular task is based on a time sharing technique, and each process is assigned a particular time. We call it as time quantum. That means in a given time you can carry out this particular, so that's why it is called as a time quantum, or we say it as a TQ. So since every activity is based on the time quantum, and this time quantum is so small that the CPU will never allow each task to wait for a particular period. So that's why there will not be no starvation. Now, the basic goal on the of the multitasking, rather just like a simple tasking, is that the CPU should be capable to process. If the CPU is not having a sufficient strength, so let us assume that you have taken a CPU of a 286 model, and that 286 is not capable to operate one particular task, then what will happen? It will keep on waiting for a particular task to complete by in a very slow manners. The response time will be very slow. So in this particular response time, if it is slow, what will happen? The other CPU will be waiting for a long time. Hence, thereby the chances that the CPU may get hang up. So that's why the goal of the multitasking is that it should be able to minimize. Goal, I can put it as the goal of the operating system is to minimize the response time. And each task has given since each task is given a particular predefined times, so the advantage is that this is the response times is better. But I can put it this is as the advantage part. But disadvantage is that if the multiple task is having a more, if the disadvantage part is that the multiple task is having a more job to carry out by the CPU, and if the CPU is not capable, then overload of CPU may exist. Hence, multiple tasking, if it is carried out by the more than one CPU, it gives a effective results. So that is the one of the things. Or in short, in the multiple tasking, the processor is capable of processing that particular task in a time sharing mode by switching from one job to another, such that user cannot able to view that particular changeover. Rather, the operating systems concurrently operating systems concurrently allows the entire task to execute. So this is how the multitasking operating systems is there. And if you see the multitasking task activities, it is almost all close to the batch processing, but it is above the batch processing, and also resemblance to the multiple processors activities. But here in this case, only one CPU is being shown, because multitasking CPU is not the particular entity to be considered as a more stress. Rather, multiple task is being considered as a most important criterions in the case of a multitasking operating systems.